Fortunately, the storm was close by that time, and Mother is afraid of lightning. I found her upstairs, ready to go but apprehensive, and I managed to delay my own packing for another 30 minutes before I carried my overnight bag down the stairs. The house was empty and queer that night. I could never remember it without at least one or the other of the maids in it, and the wind which preceded the rain made strange sounds as I waited in the lower hall for Herbert. I was shivering for some reason when I heard his car again and admitted him. "All here," he said cautiously, and produced the album neatly tied up in paper. "Now I'll get out again, but first you're to do a little work on the telephone. And while you're doing it, I'll unlock the kitchen door. Right? I want to get back into the house after you've gone." I agreed, although I was puzzled. I was, it appeared, to call up George Talbot and Margaret Lancaster, and to tell them that the album had been found in the schoolroom after all. But I was also to say that we were leaving at once, and that I would give it to each of them the next day. "Better not do it until the taxicab is at the door," he said, and after a quick and excited kiss he had gone again, driving away more sedately than usual. I obeyed his orders to the letter. I took the album up to the schoolroom, not without some nervous qualms, and while Mother was gathering up her last possessions for the taxi, I was at the telephone. She caught something of what I said, however, and was rather peevish about it. "Really, Louisa," she said, "why didn't you tell me?" "I shall take it to Margaret myself. The taxi can stop there." It took some argument, including the approach of the storm, to get her into the cab without the album, but at last I managed it and we drove away. She was still offended as well as highly nervous, I remember, and she was continually opening bags on the way downtown to be certain that she had brought everything. All in all, it was a wild ride, for the rain was coming down in torrents by that time and Mother insisted because of the lightning on taking a roundabout route to avoid all trolley tracks. To add to the general discomfort, the wiper on the windshield refused to work, and for the last mile or two we went at a snail's pace. And then, within 4 blocks of Aunt Caroline's, Mother remembered that she had taken my father's picture out of a suitcase and forgotten to put it back again. She insisted on returning at once, and it was only with difficulty that I persuaded her to go while I took the taxi back for it. She agreed finally and gave me her key to the front door. I had never had a key of my own. "It is on my bed," she said. "You would better take the taxi man in with you, just to be safe." One look at the driver convinced me that I would do nothing of the sort, although here and now I apologize. He was to be a valuable ally that night. But I knew that Herbert was in the house, which Mother did not, and I may as well confess that I was rather pleased than otherwise to go back. Nevertheless, the sight of the darkened building in the midst of that storm daunted me. The taxi man sat in his seat, stolid and immovable. Beyond reaching a hand back to open the door, he took little or no cognizance of me. Rain poured from the roof of the cab and fell in sheets from the porch, and I had no sooner gained its shelter than following a terrific flash of lightning every light on the street went out. I let myself into the hall and felt for the light switch there. To my horror, the house lights were off also, and there was neither movement nor sound to tell me whether Herbert was inside or not. I groped my way into the library and found a box of matches. With the bit of illumination my courage came back, and in the dining room I found a candle and lighted it. There was still no sign of Herbert, and at last I called him cautiously. There was no answer, and I was beginning to be alarmed. Then suddenly the wind blew open the kitchen door behind me, my candle went out, and I had not groped my way 5 feet before a man had caught me in his arms and held me with a grip like a vice. "You devil!" he said. It was George Talbot. I believe he would have killed me then and there, but at that moment the light in the hall came on, and he released me and stood staring at me. "Sorry, Lou," he said thickly. I thought, look here, there's all hell loose in this house tonight. Beat it, I'm telling you. Oh God, there go the lights again. I had time to see that he held a golf club in his hand, however, and with that my shaken courage returned. "Listen, George," I said. "I can't go. Herbert Dean's here somewhere, and we'll have to find him." "If there is somebody here who is dangerous, I'd better bring in the taxi driver. He'll help us to look, anyhow." And at that moment 4 shots in rapid succession were fired somewhere in the upper part of the house. I heard George groan in the darkness, and the next moment he had dashed out of the room and up the front stairs. Some sheer automatism took me into the front hall, and as I reached the foot of the stairs a flash of lightning showed the taxi driver in the doorway. Then everything was dark again, and out of that blackness something rushed at me from the rear of the house and knocked me flat on the floor. Someone ran over me as I lay there, going with incredible silence and speed. Then there was a shocking scream, and by another lightning flash I saw that the taxi driver was struggling to hold a black and amorphous figure. Then there was another shot, the hall mirror fell in a crash of glass, and I fainted. I never heard George Talbot come rushing down the stairs nor his frantic call over the telephone for the police.